Welcome to yet another episode of the Fire-Breathing Kittens podcast, a standalone 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Every week has its own little story, so you can drop in and out as you please and just listen to whatever you want, really. If an episode sounds like a fun time, then you can listen to it with no strings attached. Enough with the Pinocchio metaphors, let's get on with the show. Joining us this week are Simmond.
Hi, I'm Simmond. I am a level 14 druid. I am about 8 feet tall and quite hefty and faintly blue. Wearing some animal skin armor and leaves strung throughout my hair. And I really enjoy Southern cornbread ice cream. It's a specialty from back home.
Next up, we have Jade.
Hello, I am Jade. Jade is a 53-year-old, red-skinned, black-eyed, completely black with no white part in them. Black-haired, horned, normal, retired Nickemway town guard. And she just yesterday had a lovely sit out on the patio with her wife eating some homemade ice cream.
What flavor was it?
There were little candied orange peels mixed into it.
And last up, we have Willy.
What's up, everyone? It's Willy, everybody's favorite dead boy. I'm very tall, very thin, but recently, Willy's been going through a little bit of a rebranding. This level 6 warlock, level 5 paladin, level 3 barbarian, shout out to my multi-classes out there, is a little bit stronger. He's got a new set of armor on. It's beautiful black scale mail. His curly hair no longer covers his eyes, but he keeps pulled back in a sort of messy lion's mane, showing off his smoking green pits for eyes. Oh, and he's a butter pecan boy.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, funny we should mention you, Willy. This adventure begins a little ways after Willy's birthday. So your birthday has been and gone, and the guild has provided you 3 train tickets to anywhere on the train system. So, being the sort of person you are, you've let them go until the day before they expire. So what you've done is you've just grabbed the only 2 people available in the guild hall at the time, and you've just wanted to see what was at the end of the track. So you just hopped on a train just to see how far you would get. And after a while, the camera fades in on a very creaky handcart as it pushes its way through the desert in Guaso, making its way up to what is effectively an old western town, old Wild West town. And the person pushing you is an incredibly old person, big straw hat, dungarees, no shoes, the type. And for some reason, he's the only one. You guys are all just sitting there enjoying the time. You're eating your favorite type of ice cream. And as a train handcart pulls up to the tracks, up to the station even, you see that this town does in fact seem completely abandoned. So when the driver throws you off the track because you have in fact reached the end of the line, you look around to see that there's nothing going on whatsoever. There's a stray tumbleweed maybe making its way across the road, but other than that, nothing much. And the driver on his way out shouts back to you, "I'll be back in 3 days or 2 days, I don't know. I'll check the union rolls. Bye."
Goodbye, thank you. And Willy is actively trying not to look at the other 2, because so he'd never had a birthday before. So the whole thing was very weird to him. And he also hasn't been a lot of places that weren't directly work-related. Work being previous FBK episodes. Listen back for Willy. So he didn't know where to go or what to do, and just panic chose End of the Line, because he thought it sounded cool and a little bit gothy. And now he's like, oh, I've made a horrible choice. Yeah, just like sweating, like looking at the camera with the other two behind him, trying not to admit that he just got them stranded in a ghost town for 3 days.
Yeah, and sweating is right because it is really quite hot. Luckily, it's a dry heat, so not too muggy, but it is getting towards sunset, so the sun is going low on the horizon as you wander throughout the town. So this town is built in a very classic Wild West fashion, so there's just one main road right down the middle. All the buildings are standing off to the side of it. You've got, as you pass, you see things like a post office, a doctor's. There's a saloon right at the far end. But as you walk through this seemingly completely abandoned town towards sunset, you do notice one single light on in a building which is marked as the Curiosity Shop.
Why does this start to sound a lot like the movie House of Wax?
I don't know. I have not seen that film, so... So if there are any weird crossovers, we can't get sued.
All right, well, what do you guys think? There's a light on. Should we go say hello?
Yes, of course.
Jade,
Yeah.
I feel like you should lead here.
Okay. I do have, like, plate armor on. It's probably not a bad idea.
Well, I meant more for the air of authority. She de
Gosh.
po.
A guard knocking on your door. I mean, wouldn't that just encourage people to run out the back?
Depends on the
I
person.
mean, probably. Well, you're about to find out what sort of person is in this abandoned town, aren't you?
Someone who loves civilization and society. Okay, so I walk up to the door in my plate armor with my red skin, completely black eyes and horns, and I bang on it because that's how I'm used to doing it from 27 years in the town guard. Bang, bang, bang.
Okay, so as you slam into the door frame, there's a shout from behind the door, which basically, like, almost immediately behind the door, actually. And the voice just says, "No, please, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. 20 more minutes, please."
Okay, I walk away from the door and I tell my friends, they said 20 more minutes.
Until what?
Is it already?
Okay, well, we don't want to be rude.
Okay.
Should maybe let's explore the perimeter of this house.
Are you suggesting that they would have fled from me?
You never know.
Did we hear the person yelling? Like, was it loud enough, or was it more at the door?
Yeah. It would have been faintly muffled, obviously coming through a door. But yeah, you definitely heard it. Sounded a sort of a panicked voice. But also, as you stand there in the street, you do hear a kind of a banging noise on the other side. A kind of a almost as if someone is hammering something on the other side.
Is there windows we could potentially look through?
Yes, so this is the Curiosity Shop, so there are display windows available which have weird and wonderful objects placed atop tables which are covered in like nice purple kind of velvety cloths. But if you look through the window, all these artifacts do seem quite dusty, but you do get a view of someone on the inside holding up a bar of wood and like hammering nails into the door frame as if to try and bar it.
I'm just gonna gently tap my finger on the window and go, "Hey, you don't need to do that."
The person on the inside kind of with a couple of nails in their mouth, they look at you like briefly and then just do a quick double take and go, whoop.
Yeah.
And look very confusedly at you. Then, let's say how many boards have been put in. About 4 have been put in already, so he'll just beckon you to try and go around the outside through the back door and just kind of go,
Okay, I'll look to my party and go, he wants us to go around to the back door. He was doing that thing where you nail a board so we can't get in. So this guy's in a mood, it seems like.
Most of us are when we need somebody to go in the back door.
Willy fully does not get the joke. So just big, I guess not dead eyes, just big smoking pits. And, yeah, he'll start walking off and, Jade, are you getting one of those feelings like this dude came out here and he's running from something?
I would like to use one of my abilities, DM.
oh, yes?
It is called Watcher's Eye. Can I read it to you?
Please do.
Okay, it says, your experience in enforcing the law and dealing with lawbreakers gives you a feel for local laws and criminals. I can easily find the local outpost of the Watch or a similar organization and just as easily pick out the dens of criminal activity in a community, although you're more likely to be welcome in the former rather than the latter. Is this a den of criminal activity?
Well, there seems to be one person in it at the moment. However, if you turn around and look directly behind you, there is the sheriff's office. If you want that first part of the ability taken care of. But no, it doesn't seem like a criminal sort of a thing to you on the basis that he's invited you to go around the back door.
Okay.
And also that he's not sprinted through it immediately.
That's a good point.
Maybe he's in trouble.
Maybe. I reply to Willy, hey, you don't look like this and did not get used to scaring people. Maybe someone else should walk through first next time in the back door.
Oh,
And if he's in trouble, Simmond, you are so kind. Perhaps it could be you
Yes.
to go through the back door.
yes,
Yeah.
perhaps he needs a little kindness round his back door.
Oh dear. Simmons walks off towards the back door. The literal back door.
Willy puts his arm around Jade, this big hulking sea serpent dead man. Goes, Jade, I don't think you're scary at all.
My black eyes look into your smoking pits and I say, thank you, I appreciate that.
Oh, there's a t-shirt for you. Monsters love monsters, man.
So, do I find the back door successfully?
Yes. It's not particularly hidden at all. You wander around to the back, and the person is actually waiting for you. Do the other two follow you is the question I want answered.
Yeah, I was just hanging lightly back because I wanted to remind Jade
yeah.
that she's not scary.
Yeah.
Well, not to you, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we find the back door. I'm just going to take a quick 18 seconds to cast guidance on the party here, just in case we need
just
it.
Give me and our lovely listener a quick idea of what guidance does, real quick.
Oh, it's just a cantrip that druids can cast here. It's very handy. It just sort of mentally fortifies people so that they can add a d4 to their next roll.
Lovely.
Just in case they need it.
And Willy goes into a rage. I'm just kidding.
Please don't. I try the door.
The door is unlocked. Actually, the person that Willy saw at the front has come to open the door for you, and he lets you all in. It's a bit of a mess in this back room. There's a lot of, crates and old things just hanging around the place. Stuff I haven't thought of yet. So don't investigate too far into this back room so far.
Oh, now we have to.
What's in the crate,
You may regret
DM?
what you find. If you go looking in the back cupboards of my brain, who knows what will turn up.
It's just those Looney Tunes, like you open up and I get blasted in the face with like a shotgun, my hair goes back.
Yeah, they're just crates full of melted ice cream. Is probably what's going to happen.
I look on the side, it says Acme.
Yeah. But yeah, he'll let you into the main shop room just because it's a bit roomier and slightly less dusty than everywhere else. And then he looks you three up and down and just says, "You're not one of them, are you?"
Fire-breathing kittens? Yes, we are.
Oh, that's not who I mean. I don't know.
You don't know what you mean?
The thought it got away from me, but you're not here to hurt me, are you?
We hardly ever hurt people.
For funsies, let's have a quick deception.
What?
You said we.
Simmond doesn't really hurt people. I think it was like last episode or the one before that you guys like blew a dude
Sounds nice.
velocity over water and his body got ripped apart by the ocean.
That's what I mean. We. If he'd had said I'd let it slide.
But what if Simmond honestly believes that the group he is part of does not frequently hurt people?
I think he does. You weren't there for that.
Okay, roll a deception on yourself.
Oh, I'm self-deluding. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Wait, can I give him the help action? Because Willy is so oblivious. It's a great reference point for how to delude yourself.
Yeah. So, like, in Simmond's eye line, you're just standing there nodding along, going, yep, that sounds about right.
Good, because my first roll was a 7. Second one was a 9, but then +2 is 11.
Does he successfully avoid self-awareness?
You hear the words coming out of your mouth, and you think back to all of the civil lawsuits which have ended up on the desk of Nudasag, and you think, well, I'm not doing it. Someone must be. But let's not think about that for the time being, shall we?
Yes.
That's a problem for another day.
We never come with the intention of hurting people. Sometimes things happen, but we come in peace. Also, just keep in mind, we're brand new to this town. Do you want to fill us in on what's going on here?
Well, I don't honestly know myself. See, I woke up here, and I found the town abandoned, and I just hold up here waiting for help to arrive.
Would you like some of this ice cream? I have carried it in a nice box from my wife. She made it. It has little candy orange peels placed on top of it.
Oh, you are too kind. It is hot like the devil's. Oh, sorry. I don't want to finish that sentence in front of you, but it is awfully hot down here. So yes, he will partake of some ice cream. Since you offered.
Okay. So I don't want to metagame, but do I know these two good enough to be able to ask him, like, who's better at medicine?
I would have thought so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Who's good at medicine? Because I want to use...
Probably me.
All right, then I'm going to use...
I
have a lot.
Yeah, let me know, because I'm not a medicine boy. Because I want to figure out if this guy...
I have a +10.
Whoa.
Ooh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to use my Earrings of Message, which have 5 charges of the message spell. So I'm just going to very, casually point to Simmond and cast Message and just say, I want to figure out if this guy is telling the truth, lying, or suffering from some sort of head injury. This confusion might be a mask. So, kind of prompting you to make a medicine check. Yeah. I'm going to make an insight. And I don't want to burn another one and tell Jade, but I'll give her a cop look.
Simmond is very straightforward and honest. So he's just going to say to this stranger, I'm just curious if you're all right. This sounds like quite the story, waking up here all alone. I wonder if you might have been injured on the way here. Do you mind if I just take a look at you?
Oh, not at all. Are you a doctor?
Not quite, but I'm a a bit of a medic.
Well, I feel like fine physically. It's just all the old memory loss, as it were.
Okay. Simmond puts his hands on the guy's temples and tries to just sort of channel his druid awareness of the world around him and the health of creatures to just see if he can sense any damage or difficulty here.
All right, roll me that medicine check then.
24.
Okay, so you don't feel any physical damage to this man. He is fairly human looking, looks quite thin, a bit pale. The skin looks quite thin, as if he's been out in the sun for far too long, which may well have been the case, actually. But you don't feel any, head injuries, so the skull is perfectly intact. There's no bleeding around the head at all. But you see in his eyes that he honestly doesn't quite understand what's wrong with him.
Okay. Maybe some psychic damage.
Do you want paladin stuff done to him, Willy? I can cure disease and remove poison and remove curses, and I've got one end spell ability, cleansing touch. You want. You direct me, because I'm not going to offer.
Willy's curiosity is satisfied for the moment.
Okay.
I try, I still would like to make my insight on his whole, my old memory ain't what it used to be. Wait, I went to antebellum. But, anyway, you know what I
Yeah, feel free.
Cool. Ooh, and Willy is not good at this. That's a 7.
I mean, who knows? He's got a funny accent.
I don't trust anyone with a funny accent.
Which is everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, unless I meet another ghost, I don't trust them. But is ghost an accent? It's a whole other topic. But, yeah, I'm satisfied, so I'll just let this guy talk.
Just as you're checking him up and down for scrapes, bruises, what have you, the clock on the wall starts chiming, which is strange because it's not 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or anything. It's about 25 to 9, let's say. Who knows when the sun actually sets, but the clock starts dinging and he looks up in panic and he says, "Oh, it's now. Bar the door. Sorry about the accent, it happens. Let's call it the panic voice. The panic voice sounds, "Bar the door."
My God, he's turning into a beagle.
Yeah. Can I use my reaction?
From what?
You're about to see. And at that moment, a very
Reaction?
ominous... Yes, that reaction to do.
Okay. If anything comes at this panicked person, let me know, because I'm within 5 feet of them.
Don't worry, I will.
Okay.
So, an ominous clap of lightning shoots forth from the sky outside, and thunder rumbles very, very loudly indeed. And let's call him the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper runs over towards the door and pins himself against it, as also from outside you hear a very ghostly sort of a clip-clopping horses cantering sort of a noise. And he looks at you with his eyes wide and just says, "They're here every night. They come. The ghost riders outside. They try and take me away. I don't want to go."
Hey, Willy, maybe see if you can talk to him.
And I'm within 5 feet of them at the door. I ran with them.
I ain't afraid of no ghost. And, I guess since he put boards on the door, that's funny. Willy's going to awkwardly just crawl out of a window to get out there faster.
Yeah. Okay. So as you approach the window, you see three ghostly figures on ghostly horses riding through the sky. They all have very pale skin, which is really drawn back over their skulls. They have glowing red eyes and tattered cowboy type clothes. So everyone's favorite aesthetic.
Ooh. Okay.
But climbing out of the window, you knock over quite a lot of funky little artifacts, and you unclasp the window. You struggle to push it up because it's very stuck and creaky, and you can flop rather ungracefully outside.
Beautiful. I dust myself off. Can they see me?
Yes, they were making a beeline for the curiosity shop anyway, but they will swoop down in front of you, and all three of them stare down menacingly at you.
Willy fears no ghost. I have the skull of the last spirit that messed with me in my backpack. I put a little crown on it because it's cute. So he dusts himself off, looks at him, and goes, "Hello, my name's Willy. I take it you're dead?"
That was a lot.
So I assume you're coming for a neighborly glass of water?
If that's infernal, undercommon, or draconic, does it say anything? Does it mean?
It's not. It's not. I think they're just.
No, he's just doing dead guy nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have a spooky piece of paper that explains your claim on someone's soul, or is this more of a we gotta beat you up thing? Because either way, it seems like you're coming from my new friend, the shopkeeper, and I still haven't figured out his deal yet, so he's not going anywhere. And I do the creepy ghost throw back at him.
Yeah, quite right. The front one, because they're in a little triangle, just because it's neat, gets off their horse and with a clink, because they've got spurs and everything, so it's all very, very thematic. They stand in front of you. How tall is Willy, by the way?
Willy's 6'9".
6'9".
He's
okay, so
a stretched out man.
Yeah, he's a very stretchy boy. So this one's about 6 foot, so a decent way shorter than you, but somehow as he walks up to you, it almost looks like he grows, and he just stares at you, red eyes staring into green, and just whispers, "He is ours."
By what god or magic do you claim this right, dead man?
I'm just surprised the ghost ride is only 3 people. I mean, we can take them.
Ooh, and he's in melee range, so I'm like, what up, son?
Do I have time to slowly slip some silver knuckles to the shopkeeper? Hey, put this on.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Just
Sweet.
go like you're gonna hold his hand for comfort, but you're just slipping brass knuckles on him.
They're spell components. Don't mind me.
Okay,
they?
so
Yeah, man. It's supposed to be wedding rings, but it didn't say what kind of rings.
Okay.
I can just go back and forth and buy time if the other two want to form a plan or something, because they can probably, I left the window open and they came to me, so they can probably hear and see me just mad dogging another dead guy. And this is everything Willy's wanted, by the way. He's so happy right now.
Best birthday ever.
Best birthday ever. I get to fight ghost cowboys.
Do you think they can get in through that window?
Do we really think a door would stop them in the first place?
The only
Maybe.
thing stopping somebody out is me.
Exactly. There's a wall and it's made of flesh, bone, and horn.
As long as I'm within 5 feet of this person, they're all good.
You need to get one of those, like, child harnesses for NPCs. I know you don't want to go in the spooky cave, but we have to go in the spooky cave because you'll die if we don't. But yeah, Willy will just mad dog him until he gets an answer or combat would start.
Okay, so yeah, you asked him like what magic or right they had, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like why do you think you get to just say
Yeah.
he's mine? Because if we're just dead guys claiming the living, shoot, I can do that.
Yeah. To that, he will just say, "Our claim is the oldest and the only."
Ah, you're in love with him.
He will not respond to that.
Cool, interesting. You guys go for a bit.
Yeah. What you fancy doing, gang?
Well, I have plenty of protective spells if I need to. I mean, I could put up a wall of wind to push them back from the window, or even a wall of stone if we really need to. The other thing I'm thinking here is, you know, if we really want to, we can just bunker down inside this house, and I can just call lightning and just have lightning keep striking outside.
Can I I'm just gonna like pat this. Do I have your permission to remove any curses or magic from you?
Well, just in case, I'd rather you didn't. I believe I may have at some point in the past cast some sort of preservation spell on myself. So if that goes, I don't know what would happen. I found a note on myself.
Oh, may I read the note?
I think I must have left it somewhere. Where would that? Maybe it's in the. I'm sorry, I cannot remember. But these riders, they are always gone by midnight. So I only need to hunker down and wait. But it seems your compatriot is doing a stellar job out there. How they've not ripped into shreds already, I do not know.
Willy is quite charming.
Willy's ears start turning red, and he's like, just casually like picks at him.
Did you leave message open?
Yeah. Oh no, it's cuter if he doesn't know.
What time is it now?
It will be about, let's say 8:45. The sun has just gone down.
So we've got 3 hours.
Yeah. But I was going to say, if you want, there is always the option. I will just leave it open for you. You can just say, let's just hunker down and wait until they bugger off.
Oh, I would like to ask
That is an
them
option.
some questions, though. Mostly to the shopkeeper, because I'm standing so close to him, within 5 feet. It seems like conversation would flow naturally as we all stand here. And I would say...
It's a natural conversation starter, isn't it? You know, you're both hunkered down against a load of ghost riders who are trying to barge their way into a magical antiquity shop. Who couldn't start a conversation?
Against 3 ghost riders.
Yeah.
It's not that many, I'm just saying.
I also feel like we could take them, and I am specifically designed to kill ghosts. I have the spell Daylight. I have all this. I'm a smite paladin, you know, like so. Anyway, so I say to the person, "Hello, I am Jade. What is your name?"
What? Off to the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I cannot remember that. It's very strange what I can and cannot remember, but my memory only stretches back maybe until 2 days ago. Everything past that is a blank, I'm afraid.
Oh, then how do you know that these are not your family members here to rescue? Why do you dislike them?
Well, have you seen them?
Oh, have you seen me? Why are you allowing me to get within 5 feet of you, but not them?
Well, you offered me ice cream.
Okay, would you like to come with us, small lost child? I will give you ice cream and I will take you away from here.
Well, I mean, you could do, but
No, that was a test and you failed. You are a very bad lost child. You stay where you're put until your family comes and gets you. Do not go as strangers, but as is your family, says the question. Hey, Willy! I call out the window.
So Willy's like leaning up on like a wagon or something. He's like, so what is this Asia? Oh, what's up, Jade? Hey, wave. Undead cowboys. This is my friend Jade.
Hello, I am Jade.
Jade, these are dead cowboys. They're like not bad.
Really?
You seem very nice.
They're like the cookie part of an Oreo. We're like, okay, it's still, it's better than some other cookies I've had, but
Some people think it is better than that horrible fake cream.
Jade, it's still my birthday weekend. Don't say scary things.
Can you ask, are they here for this person because they care about them and are concerned about their sudden amnesia fugue?
No, I asked if it was love, and he gave me a real mean look.
Aw.
But do you know, I would like to see if I can make a history check, and then also maybe prompt Jade too, or get help. What is the most ancient, claim?
I won't bother you with a roll for that one. People who speak in riddling talk are weird, and they could mean practically anything.
Okay. Well, so I'm just picturing Jade hanging out the window. I'm like, so what are we doing? I mean, should I tell them to kick rocks or?
We need more information from them. Where would you take this person if you were to take them? You know?
Oh yeah, undead cowboy. What happens to the shopkeeper afterwards? Does he become an undead cowboy too? Because is that an option I have?
I'll get you a hat later.
Yes.
Curiosity shop, Simmond just reaches over, picks one up.
In his head, Willy's like, I had no idea what a birthday was until a few days ago, but they freaking rock.
The spokes cowboy will turn around and just confer quietly with his compatriots. And then he'll turn back to you and go, "We are called away."
Ah, well, okay. Hey, next time you're gonna come by, send a message spell. I'll get some food. I feel like a bad host.
I hand ice cream out the window to you.
Oh, Jade, thanks.
My wife, she prepares all these extra little dishes for me. She's so nice.
Willy makes the smallest micro motion to hand it to them, and then realize that he's holding Jade's wife's ice cream, and then kind of pulls it back, quickly pulls a spoon from his pouch, and eats a couple scoops because he likes food now. And
There is more, Willy. Do not eat the ice cream, you silly boy.
oh, sorry, Jade. Didn't think she'd see me. Freaking Jade, man. Town guard for life. And I hand it to the spokes cowboy. Don't say no.
He'll take the ice cream from you and give it a quick sniff, and then place it in the saddlebag of the horse before they all get off and fly. Well, the horses fly away.
Whoa. Dang.
Yeah, so they all take. They start galloping off and start rising into the sky before hitting the far end of the town and then just disappearing into
Cool.
nothingness.
I yell, "We like white wine," and then as I'm walking back to Jade, I'm dusting my hands off, and I go, "It's gonna suck when we have to banish those guys."
Willy, I will just say before you wander back into the shop, you notice just down by your feet a small glimmer of something that looks weirdly like gold.
No, I pick it up.
You have found what appears to be an old signet ring, very, very old. So it's just a regular ring, but then with a squarish insignia on the front.
Well, Willy will clean it, put it on, and then head into the shop.
So, you mentioned that you had a note. Now that they are gone and I do not have to, protect you, you can send me to go fetch it for you, or I can find it, I can help you. How can I be of assistance?
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
You said that I could not uncurse you or demagic you because you have intentional magic placed on you as explained by a note that you found when you woke up 2 days ago.
Ah, yes. At least I think I did. Anyway, where are my manners? I need to introduce... I mean, it is getting awfully late, but I would gladly show you to... If you would like to stay the night, obviously, I can provide accommodation. Apologies, I've been meaning to dust quite a bit in here, but if you would like to wait until morning, then you are more than welcome to stay.
Wait, I have a question. You woke up here, right? Why? How did you become the shopkeeper?
Well, I'd say two reasons. One, it just seemed a place for me to be, if you understand my meaning.
I don't.
I felt a certain affinity for the items in here, and it also seemed quite defendable. Also, some of these other buildings, you must understand, are not quite suitable for habitation, if you get my meaning.
Was the light in this building already on?
Oh no, I lit the lamps some time ago because I cannot see in the dark.
I see. And you said you felt an affinity to the whole building or to any particular item here?
Mostly to the items, because and he'll gesture just generally around because the walls are decked out with shelves which have a load of funky items on, like all over the place. They look very fascinating and interesting to investigate further should you wish to. Hint.
I do. I'm looking here. I have dispel magic, but not detect magic. Pity.
You can still investigate the walls.
I can save you the roll, as it were. I've all these items do seem to be magical in nature, and they do have labels which tell you what they are and what they do. But I just felt like I should watch over them until help arrived. I did send for help yesterday, I think. I went down to the post office to post a letter, but I suppose you folks turned up, so hopefully my prayers have been answered.
Well, it seems to me like we're kind of in an armory right now then. So let's look around. Let's investigate all the stuff on the walls. What kind of items do we see? Simmond just starts perusing and reading all the descriptions.
Well,
there was a paper whip for the listeners.
Oh, they heard it. Do not edit that out. It's important to the podcast. Okay, so he'll take you on a tour because I think he would enjoy being able to present these items as if it were half museum, half genuinely trying to sell them.
We're saving his life. Our money's no good here.
Also, I did think about this earlier, and like, you guys are pretty loaded anyway, so if I put price tags on stuff, it wouldn't matter at all.
Maybe other people are loaded. I'm not.
I'm sure Jade is rolling in it.
I have 2 children in college.
All right, well, we'll just ignore the clever pun on your name and just move along, shall we?
Oh my god, my name is Jade Rowland, you guys. I'm sorry.
That was rough.
That's bad.
Are you guys in a fight? What's going on?
I just organize funny people to get together. That's my role.
Maybe I just need a sign that says pun.
Pun alert, welcome to the pun zone.
But yeah, he'll take you on a quick tour of the shop, and he says, "Well, first up here we have," and he looks at the label. It's like, it says the box of mystery. So this is let's say a purple box with a red ribbon, kind of very much like a classic present looking sort of thing. And I go, so the idea of this one seems to be that if you put something in, then something else will come out. So, for example, he takes off, say, the desk, a pen, drops it in, and then out flies a teapot. So, as you can imagine, it's a... Wait, I needed that pen. Hang on, let's try this. And he puts the teapot back in, and a small... a handful of radishes fly out. You go, I don't suppose any of you have a pen, do you?
We all do.
Oh.
Yeah. Always carry a Blarpy.
A Blarpy, okay.
It's everyone's favorite off-brand Sharpie. And a fun episode you can listen to, listeners. Check it out.
Anyway, that is the first item. The next item I'm particularly fond of, because it is called the Cloak of Non-Permanence.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of this one, actually, if you don't mind, I will demonstrate, because it is quite a hoot and a holler. So he will take it off its pedestal and put it on, and just go. So as you can see, that I am completely visible to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, he is visible to all of you. But if I turn away just even a little bit, just so I'm not looking at you, and then he turns his head so he's not looking at you, and he turns completely invisible.
Oh.
And then if I turn to face you again, and he becomes visible. So this magical cloak, if I can't see you, you can't see me.
Like
It
a
smells
server.
like homebrew.
Yeah, like a server at a restaurant.
Oh, very much so. Seen, heard, but not seen.
As soon as you stop looking at me, I don't exist anymore. That's pretty dope. I like that.
So I've made let's see, how many did I make? I made 15 such items,
Okay.
which I don't think we need to run through right now, because that's frankly ridiculous.
Probably not. It sounds like nothing majorly offensive in this shop.
Willy is in the market for boots.
Well, I do have some boots of time travel, if you are so interested.
Okay. And you started with the teapot radish box.
Well, there is a certain order to the tour, sir.
Oh my goodness. I know you have I know you have memory loss, but there's a phrase you might have forgotten called burying the lead.
Well, let me just take you over to these boots. So they're electric blue cowboy boots with yellow lightning bolts on the side.
Willy is just mouth agape looking at his party members, like motioning towards the boots, like,
So these are the boots of time travel. They allow you to travel into the future at a rate of 1 second per second.
Willy is still mouth agape for a different reason now.
But they still remain very fashionable, as I understand boots.
Are you sure they're magical?
No,
Okay.
they are only what I have observed, and they seem to be traveling into the future at 1 second per second.
I almost want to cast Detect Magic and find out that they are magical. Just very bad.
It's not the worst bit of magic on here, let me tell you.
Oh, okay. Oh, I could
Moving
do
on.
this all day. Yeah.
Armory idea out.
I'll just read out some choice items, which are fun. So we've got some 2D glasses, which completely remove depth perception. We've got the roll of infinity, which is an infinite toilet paper roll.
Now that's
And,
I actually
Honestly,
want
not
that.
bad.
Yeah.
yeah. Now we're talking.
there is the interdimensional kennel, which is a kennel with infinite possibility, but is only usable by dogs.
What? I'm sorry. I have follow-ups. Only dogs can operate the kennel. Like,
Yeah.
so a human cannot open the door to a kennel. To the kennel. A dog has to open it.
Yeah,
How does a dog open a kennel?
who knows?
And does that not defeat the purpose of a kennel?
Not necessarily. If it's got like infinite possibility inside, it could be whatever you want, or whatever the dog wants.
All right, we'll take this off, Mike.
What other crazy rubbish do we... I mean, you can always come back if you feel like you need some zany magical item for at some point in the future. You're more than welcome to check the list.
I would like to inquire, how much is a box of mystery? I love souvenirs for my wife, Alice.
The box of mystery... Well, the cost of these is not in coin, you see. It's a case of the item chooses to serve you.
Oh, then you cannot get a present for another person at the shop.
Not easily. It's, as far as I understand it from the books, the business was not particularly successful for that reason.
Well, I can give the box of mystery a small item from my wife and see if it likes her. How do I know if it want to come with me?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I believe the deal is you have to perform certain deeds in which to earn the item's trust.
Okay. I go up to the item and I hold my hand out flat side to it, like a dog would sniff. And I say, "Hello, I am Jade." And I wait.
The box would whisper in your ear, or like in your mind's ear, your ear's mind, will whisper, "Could you bring me some ice cream, please?"
Why, yes, I happen to have some on me. My wife, she made it. If you like this, she can make you more. And I take a little bowl. I'm picturing like the stack of styrofoam bowls you can get for real cheap. And a little plastic spoon. I put some ice cream in the bowl and top it with the orange peels, and I put it in the box.
Oh, that was very tasty. Thank you. I'll tell you what. Once you leave, because I quite like this seat, I'll come with you. How's that sound?
Wonderful. Okay, guys, we cannot let the shop burn down. I know it's standard protocol to burn all the buildings that we really interact with for too long, but not this one, okay?
Willy was staring into the fireplace and goes, oh, good. I'm glad you said it now.
Simmond really pats down his bonfire cantrip.
Take that off my spell sheet.
So, a shopkeeper who has no name, would you like one?
What, an atom or some more ice cream?
A name, although you are welcome to ask. I have a tiny bit left.
Oh well, I'm okay. I've grown weirdly attached to the shopkeeper.
Okay, well then. So, what would you like from us? Would you like us to make these ghost people, they go away, they are scaring you? Would you like us to take you to wherever it is you came from? Or do you want us to attract tourists to the town so that you can make a sale?
Well, I would say for the time being, first of all, you look like you can all do with some rest, but in the grand scheme of things, I would say we try and find out what is going on with these ghostly riders and how to deal with the problem as we go. That would be my hope. There is actually one other. Sorry, my mind is all over the place nowadays. There is one other item which I do not keep in the shop because I cannot move it. This one is it's an interesting little item. I think you'll be interested. We should only be able to go and have a look at it in the morning, but it has been dubbed the Sword of Destiny. So the note I have for that is that it It crowns the ruler of Guaso. That certainly seems quite interesting to me. So if any of y'all are interested in being a ruler, then we can pop down to see how that treats you in the morning.
Willy is sweating again as he feels the other magic sword of the one true hero in his chest, and he's like, ooh, magic sword, magic sword. But is that cheating? He's in a moral conundrum.
You seem to be wanting to make us sleep very badly. Okay, I guess we will.
It's not a character thing. It's the DM saying, please, can we cut to the morning?
Yes, where are these beds?
Willy doesn't sleep, and just in case it is a character thing, he will look to where this person goes to bed and then just stand in the hallway watching their door all night. He will cast one spell, though, before he goes to sleep. Find Steed. And he will summon his new mount, which is an inky black sable the size of a horse.
In the shop?
No, outside.
Outside,
then,
okay.
Just because you don't have to, it doesn't have a time limit, so I'll burn one of my precious spell slots the night before, take a 4-hour rest as I watch this guy's door, and then just be a creep all night.
Yeah, standard procedure.
Willy stuff.
Yeah, just normal person behavior. That's all it is.
Summon a giant weasel, watch someone sleep.
Okay.
So the shopkeeper will show both Jade and Simmond to rooms which looks like the beds have not been slept in quite some time. So there's an unfortunate amount of dust around the place, but there are some cabinets which have slightly less dusty sheets in. So all you need to do is just replace the sheets, and you should be okay as long as neither of your characters have asthma.
Nope.
That sounds like a disease. So as we're having, I guess, a sleepover where we're because you said we're sort of in the same area.
Yeah,
Jade...
I mean, you can have bunk beds if you want. I'm fine.
Sure.
If you want to sleep in the same room.
Jade had something she wanted to say to Simmond for a while.
Oh yeah,
and
bunk beds.
Bunk beds. We're chatting.
Bunk bed conversation.
Yeah. So you know how Jade has been married to Alice for 25 years?
Forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So it's really late at night and everybody's gone to bed. We're all sleeping. And I'm like, hey, Simmond, are you still awake?
Mm-hmm.
I had this thought.
Uh-huh.
I was like, you know how my daughter Adele, she's graduating from college soon.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so into the plants. I don't really get it, but she made these combination plants. She's so proud for her dissertation or whatever. I don't know, thesis. And I thought, you are a druid, so I have this, I am able to give my children a comfortable life. So I thought, would you be interested in helping Adele manage land if I were to purchase a parcel for her?
Sure. I can make it extra fertile.
That would be wonderful. Then she could start a small business when she graduates from the Nikimue Community College, growing these apple grape combinations. I do not know. She is a creative child. She follows her art.
Grapples sound delicious.
Thank you so much for helping her. And that way you give her a job, give her something to do, a bit of land. Is a good mother thing to do, yes?
Absolutely. It's a great thing to do.
Thank you, Simmond. And that's where all my money is going, because you get a lot of money when you play D&D, like your character. So I bought
when you play
land.
every week, yeah, you do.
Yeah. I bought land, and Simmond's helping make it fertile, and we're going to give it to Adele when she graduates as a present.
Aww.
Thank you, Simmond.
Of course.
Willy doesn't want to hear, but can I roll a perception check to overhear that?
Yeah, if you want.
Ooh, okay, good. He didn't catch that. He got a 9. Otherwise, he would have been sad, because he's never had a mom who wasn't evil hags. But he blissfully unaware.
Yeah, you're sat down in the main shop area. You've found yourself a rocking chair, and you've lit the fire, so it's all very comfortable down there. But while we're on Willy at the moment, would Simmond and Jade mind taking their headphones off, please?
Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah, no sleep, boys.
Yeah. So as you're sitting there in your rocking chair, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, let's say. The other two are fast asleep. Simmond is snoring like an owl bear. And down the stairs comes the shopkeeper. And he notices you and says, you can't sleep either, I guess.
Willy's not good at deception. He just, smiles and goes, I don't sleep. I'm quite dead.
Oh, is that right? How does that work?
I have little to no idea. As a child, I was given to hags, and they, through magical rituals, put a spirit inside of me. And since then, I grow and mature, but I don't eat, sleep, breathe, and my heart does not beat.
That sounds, a rather set of unfortunate circumstances there. But, I mean, if it helps, I'm glad you are here, helping my own situation.
Even if you get a gift that you do not want, you must make the most of it.
I suppose you must be right. What was your name, young sir?
Wilvelian von Erden. And Willy doesn't know why, but he had an urge to say his full name in that moment.
Von Erden. It's an interesting name. Sounds almost like almost a familiar sort of a name. You know what I mean?
Go on. Do you think... I suppose it makes sense that a man with no memories would have a clue to my past.
Well, who knows, I suppose, but, no, it's a pleasure to meet you, Velian von Erden. I hope we can get to the bottom of this matter come morning.
Yes. Let us hope it comes soon.
Yes. Do you mind if I join you? I do always like watching the sunrise.
I mostly watch spiders. And he sort of laughs and, Willy is new to people. And, he's slowly putting it together, and he doesn't really have an urge to drink or imbibe, but, we'll pull, a flask that, Tanninger has explained, one must always have liquor on them. And we'll, they'll sit by the fire and pass it back and forth.
Yeah. And, yeah, they'll just keep doing that until the other two wake up, which will be at some point in the future. I imagine Jade would probably wake up at about 6 a.m. on the dot every single day.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those, how you wake up before your alarm. She's up, just minutes before the sun rises.
Yeah. Well, I think her alarm goes off at 6. She's up at 5:59 and a half.
Yeah. Just gotta beat it. You gotta be a little bit early.
Yeah. So she wakes up and turns it off and goes, yes, I beat the alarm.
Haha. And that's how we... Welcome back. I've murdered you all. Ha ha ha.
Good luck. It would take more than one blow to kill Jade.
Probably.
Yeah, Simmond is surprisingly squishy.
Yeah, Willy's built for one big hit. But yeah, I don't think I could take Jade. What's your hit point max, Simmond?
I think it's 124, but my AC's only 15, even with a shield.
And the weirdest part about Jade is how you can't hit her even though she's sleeping, because her AC is 21.
I did the math, and even on a max, I max out at 95 or something. And that's rolling the max on every single dice. So yeah, I couldn't take you out if I wanted to.
Yeah, I have 102 hit points, I think.
Oh, so close.
Okay, so I have a fair amount of hit points. I just get hit easily. I'm very slow.
Yeah, just tanking.
Morning has come to the town in question, and I should probably mention, because you will have passed it when you first arrived, but maybe no one was paying attention. Who knows? Certainly, I certainly wasn't. But the town is called Nowhere.
Does that mean we're in the middle of nowhere right now?
Well, if you went outside and up a bit, then yeah.
But we took a train to nowhere.
I've got the map in front of me, so I know where the middle of nowhere is.
Okay.
And
As long as we're
you're
clear.
you're just off to the side of the middle of nowhere at the moment.
Gotcha.
So, like, on the handcart that was coming, like, if he was, like, really pumping, like, really, like, moving at a good pace, would you say we were getting nowhere fast?
Yeah, I would certainly say you're on the road to nowhere anyway.
All right, I'm out.
Anyway, morning has come to the town of Nowhere. Simmond and actually Jade, settle a bet for us. What time does she wake up?
What time does Jade wake up?
Yeah.
Well, you know how old people. All right, I'll be less insulting with this. Early.
Yeah. Give us like a sort of time.
Yeah, we do need an exact time.
We do need an exact time.
Okay. At first 6 a.m. naturally, and then if nobody else is up, like 7 a.m.
Interesting. Well,
Interesting.
we were close.
More than close. I would say we were bang on.
All right. I want to see this secret morning invention.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Jade and Simmond. What time will Simmond wake up, actually? It's important.
He will
Character
naturally
question.
wake up exactly at sunrise every day.
Like a sunflower. You turn your head towards
Ooh.
it.
That's what I bet Jade would wake up. I was like, I bet you Jade beats the sun every morning and is like, yes. But I was off by a player.
So, yeah, let's say sunrise and 6 a.m. are around the same sort of time. If, who knows, it could be. Why not? Yeah, Jade wakes up at 6 a.m. on the dot. Simmond is a couple of minutes later because sunrise. But you both make your way down to the main shop floor and find Willy and the shopkeeper just sitting back in rocking chairs, staring at a spider which has crawled up into the corner of the room. And they're both discussing how best they would store it.
You know, I got a spider back home. And I just I let the guy roam, so like maybe storage is a viable option.
You
I
got
would
a
just-
spider back home. How do you know it's the same spider?
Willie like chokes up and he goes, "It's not. I know."
And that's Sacre Blue
appear
Murder
to-
Bots for the listeners.
Yeah. I appear to have hit a nerve there. I do apologize.
Oh, it's okay. Though I should send a letter. Willie tries to remember if anyone speaks spider.
Well, if you want to send a letter, you can always go on over to the post office. I think they should have a collection at some point in the next few days.
So I'll see like people coming down the stairs and go like, "Oh, good morning."
Hello.
Howdy.
Do you start every morning by going, "Hello, I am Jade"?
Only if the person doesn't know me.
Well, I mean, the shopkeeper might have forgotten. Who knows?
Oh, gosh.
Well, this is awkward. I rolled a just for memory. I rolled a 1. So, oh, I'm sorry, dear. I do not believe we have been introduced. You look awfully familiar to me, but the name escapes me.
You did not remember your own mother? Gotcha. Now you're going to leave this town.
That's the rules. If your mom shows up, you have to leave town. It's in the Jeremy Crawford's Twitter part of the rules.
Yeah, I'd like to do a deception check and be like, I'm your mom. Can I roll, DM?
Yeah, sure. I pulled that that stuff last week, so it's fair.
Okay, a 15 plus 5 is a non-natural 20.
All right, let's roll a. Hang on. I don't want you to think I made this up. All right.
A dice tray is being shown to the camera.
I am annoyingly I'm annoyingly honest with my dice rolls.
It's a natural 20.
Yeah.
Jade, you are not the mother.
That is a strange biological coincidence, but it's a fun joke. It's a fun joke. No, I definitely remember seeing you before. It's just the name. I'm afraid.
Hello, I am Jade.
That was it. Yes. I should have put it together. Anyway, good morning, Simmond. How did you sleep?
Oh, just fine. I'm a fantastic sleeper.
I'm sure you are. I could hear you snoring all night long.
Probably.
Brag.
Anyway, as
Pretty big assumption. It could have been Jade, but okay.
As Willy and I were discussing before you walked down, it's a fantastic opportunity to go and see this sword, because that's the part of town where the sun rises from. So it is particularly majestic.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, one moment. Well, actually, would you mind giving me a hand taking these boards off the door? We may need to put them back this evening.
Simmond reaches over and plucks them all off. It looks very similar to somebody, I don't know, plucking seeds off a strawberry. Just blink, blink. He only needs one thumb and finger to do it.
Yeah. But you will notice, Simmond, as you reach in to take the nails out of the boards, that the door frame is absolutely covered in nail holes.
Well, yeah, he does this every day.
But he said he got here 2 days ago.
Mm.
And also, earlier he said he's been meaning to dust. Why?
True. Is it 3 days worth of nail holes, or like more than that?
It certainly seems like it's an excessive number of nail holes. I mean, if you didn't know it was full of nail holes, you might think it was termite damage. That's how many there are.
So if I remove the magic from this guy, his withered corpse is going to fall on the ground dead, and then the ghosts are going to collect his soul, and he's going to ghost right off into the sunset.
Alternate pitch. Ghost Riders are the good guys trying to bring him to the afterlife, and if we dispel the magic, he's just going to poof his soul into non-existence.
Yeah, I can bring bodies back, but I can't bring souls back. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
Actually, if I defeat him in combat because I'm a Hexblade, I can trap his soul.
Oh my gosh, and then I can preserve his body. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I have gentle repose. I can make it so he can't rot, and I can revivify him. And
So
bring
I
him-
immediately stab him in the face. No, we'll just keep that one in the back pocket.
I have doubts about this plan.
Yeah.
Mine is like a certain number of hours, and then he goes to the afterlife. So we're also on a timer if we go that route.
All right, well, I'm
I
up
would
for
also
it.
be fairly confident that Simmond would have some sort of moral objection, considering he did turn up, say, we come in peace.
Simmond is literally a soul from the afterlife inserted into a random unwilling body.
I think he was made of star stuff, if I remember.
No. Player was there as I killed the person who was previously occupying the body that is now Simmond.
I was there as well. Or player was there.
Yeah.
There were options. The giant elk was willing to be a willing body.
So as far as moral objection goes, what was that, Simmond?
That was the changeling was evil.
It was.
He was dying anyway.
Look, no sense in looking backwards. We all die and come back in different bodies. Sometimes they're willing, sometimes they're not.
I was desperate. I was in love.
Willy does his nightcaller whistle, and the little skull of that, like, curse that he turned into an unwilling servant flies out, and he's like, stuff happens.
Regardless,
Episode in question is All Changelings Go to Heaven, should you be interested.
And for the skull, it's haunted house hunting.
Regardless, it seems like something isn't adding up. Either he honestly doesn't remember. Maybe his memory resets every morning. We've kind of seen that. Or Or he's lying to us.
Ooh, I forget. Does the divine sense in this edition do undead?
Ooh, can I take a deep breath, a deep whiff of the morning air, DM?
You can. There's a lot of dust in it.
Great. I don't have asthma. We've already established that. All right. So, divine sense. As an action, I open my awareness. The presence of strong evil registers on my senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good rings like heavenly music in my ears. So I either have tinnitus or smell a fart, if there's good or evil. I can, until the end
That's
of my turn...
That's in the Bible.
Until the end of my turn, I know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet of you that is not behind total cover.
Okay. Boo.
And just to clarify, I'm just dead, not undead.
Okay.
Just the regular kind of dead.
Okay, so you take a whiff of the morning air. There's dust fills your lungs. I can't stress how much dust there is in this place. But as your divine senses kind of emanate out from yourself, you do definitely get some sort of a sense from the shopkeeper that they are rather undead, in fact.
Okay, so I've really been meaning to try this on Willy, but I'll do it on the shopkeeper. Okay, so I have the spell Revivify, so I can kill you and then bring your soul back and make you alive again, Willy?
Oh, I don't know if it works like that, Jade.
Well, we can test it out on the shopkeeper. Okay, so let's go see the sword, because the DM wrote an adventure, but I know how it's ending. That's a face stab from Willy.
What is Jade's alignment?
That's a good question.
I thought she was lawful good.
I am lawful good.
Yeah, me too.
Isn't it good to make the undead alive again?
Not if they enjoy being undead.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so, yeah, we're walking to the sword, and I ask the shopkeeper, how do you feel about being undead?
Jeez. I message real quickly, Jade, I don't know if he knows. Hey, how's that cancer going?
I must have misheard. What did you say?
How do you feel about being undead?
No, I'm sure I must be mishearing. Because I could have sworn you just said, how does it feel to be undead?
Yes, are you okay with the situation?
My dear, I'm not undead. I'm a living. I may be suffering a little bit from heat stroke, but I'm very much in the land of the living.
I can prove it to you.
Oh, Jade. Willy is just like pitifully whispering, like, no, Jade, stop, no.
I can, so I can prove it to you. I can cast a zone of truth on myself. You can tell that I am telling the truth, and I can tell you that you are undead.
Well, it is very easy to trick those zones of truth. If you know what you're doing, as far as I understand it, all you need to do is believe what you're saying is true, and then it will let you say it. It doesn't mean it is factually correct.
Does not believe paladins? Okay, I will... I also have certain magics that do not work on undead. I could show you that they do not work on you.
Well, how about we leave this little science experiment for later on?
I have a question. Why do you think you are not undead?
Well, I feel it in my bones.
So does Jack Skellington.
Oh, is he a friend of yours?
Yeah, he's our neighbor. He runs a pumpkin patch. They call him the Pumpkin King.
Oh, is that right?
Is this reference international? I don't know.
No, it is. It is.
It's canon now, and that's all that matters.
I mean, if you are not willing to accept that you are undead, that is okay with me, but I would like you to know that if you would like assistance with that, it is possible that through the efforts of Willy and myself, we can both restore your soul and your body to life. So if you're interested, we can help you, okay? But we will go to the sword, we will not pressure you. It's okay, it takes some time to accept these things.
Here's a question. Is there a functional difference? Because the soul's already in the body. The body is alive when you're undead, kind of. Like, it's moving. Is there a functional difference between where he's at now and where he would be after that science experiment?
Oh yeah, undeath. It means you can't benefit from healing magic. You smell real bad. You
Does he smell bad?
Things burn you, like holy water burns you.
You also get ghost cowboys trying to call you to the next realm.
Yeah.
But I mean, would that go away because you would just be revivifying the same body he has now, which is an undead body?
No.
So-
I would be revivify means that it's alive again.
Well, okay, so I looked it up. I don't want a rules lawyer against us as the players, but died within the last minute. So if I was going to be a Fickley DM, I would argue he died years ago.
Can undeads die though? Because which death, right? The first or the second?
I mean, now we're talking like necromantic philosophy. Like people go to school for years about this question.
Or is it like in Pokemon? They fainted. Ooh.
Yeah, and now this is where I would argue maybe it would work on Willy because he's just dead. But like, I don't know. And like, really, Willy's never thought about being alive before, so this is a big weekend for Willy.
It's a good question. I'm going to say I'm not a cleric. I'm only a paladin. I've only got Revivify. I don't have like the true resurrection. So, the non-time limited one. So maybe a cleric could help us, but I'm going to go with DM wants to investigate this sword. So we arrive. What is this sword? I won't pursue it further. You guys don't worry. I'm not annoying. I promise.
Don't worry. I'm not saying that I'm willing to listen to your point of view. I'm just saying that forcibly getting someone to accept your point of view, whether you have provided a good time for thinking over and considering, is perhaps not such a good person thing to do.
Hey, no, I just offered assistance. I did not try to force you to do anything. So, hey. But blame where blame is, and that's whoever put you this way. I am just offering if you want it. A sword.
He'll hang back with the other two, and you just hear him mention something along the lines of "Zone of Truth." Seems pretty false to me.
Yeah, man, you're definitely alive. Like, pat him on the shoulder, just like, oh man, this dude's so dead.
That's fine. I do not tell people who do not want assistance. There are too many people who need help for me to force help on someone that does not want it.
Very true.
As you walk towards the spot where the sword is kept, it is in the garden behind the saloon, which in turn is perched beneath what seems to be a giant stone archway, the purpose of which you can't quite imagine. Maybe it's just a bit of public art, maybe it's something they found beforehand, built the town around because it looked nice. Who knows? But the shopkeeper points you just around the side of the saloon, or through, who knows, to the garden, which actually looks quite nice, considering everything else is abandoned, dusty, brown. The garden is green and luscious. There's a small water feature in the garden. There's almost like a Japanese Zen garden, kind of a feel to it. In the middle of it is a large stone in which is pierced a large sword, and on the stone itself there is like a plaque which reads, "Whoever draweth forth this sword will become the ruler of Guaso and associated counties."
I have a question for the DM.
Yes.
Is this at all familiar to Jade? Is she getting like deja vu? Like she's been here before?
Yeah, Jade feels like it seems weirdly familiar. Maybe she's read some sort of legend about these sorts of swords, because, it's a world full of magic. Weird things happen.
Yeah. Is the sword like a friend of her?
Maybe
like familiar?
maybe she was told about it like as a child. Who knows?
Does it seem like the sword is a, one could say a bastard sword in design?
Language.
Whoa.
Maybe one could say that.
You know nothing of this sword's parentage.
All right. She's gonna like hold back and scratch her chin as other people approach the sword.
Well, Willy's giving a look to Jade, because this is not our first rodeo with a sword in the stone.
Yeah, we're gonna let Simmond try first.
You know, me, the druid, try to pull a sword? Okay.
I could think of no better leader than a kind man.
I guess, but we don't use metal weapons. But okay.
I mean, it's like a status symbol. Think of it as a cool hat that you could murder someone with.
Oh. All right. Well, Simmond takes hold of the sword and gives it a tug.
Simmond, as you grab hold of each of the sword's like crossguard areas and you tug with all your strength, the sword does not budge 1 inch, but to the other two, it looks as though he has suddenly gotten a very intense headache. And Simmond, would you quickly knock off 10 points of psychic damage from your health?
All right.
And also, you're not quite sure why, but a single tear rolls down your eye, rolls down your cheek, even.
Okay.
Oh, wait, do we see that?
Yeah. You seem like hold his hand up to his temple as if he's got a real bad migraine, and you just see this one lone tear.
Oh, Simmond, you should sit down. And Willy kind of like hip checks him out of the way, because he's never cried before. And if this is a sword that makes you cry, he's really curious to see if his body will do that.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm going to give that sword a tug, hoping for a fail.
Once again, the sword does not move a micrometer. It just hangs out. And once again, to Jade and Simmond, it looks as though a very pained expression comes upon the face of young Willy. His eyes briefly flash a few different colours before returning to their natural green. And instead of a brief tear rolling down the cheek, it's more of a small, like almost like a groaning from the back of the throat. It's like a sort of a noise you hear emanating from Willy.
Willy just sort of backs off, like quickly like rubs around his eyes to see if any tears came out and goes, "Oh, I guess I can't cry."
But, Willy, you also take 10 points of psychic damage.
Oh, can I take 11 for the fact that I realize that I don't have the ability to truly feel sadness and that death has come for me?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, poor Will.
The shopkeeper is there with you, obviously. He says, "Don't take it personally. I've tried that myself, and
how many times?"
Well, I tried when I found it 2 days ago, and then I think I came back yesterday. Maybe you never know. Maybe the sword decides one day that I'm suddenly worthy of being ruler, and then I can leave this place. But
wait, here's a
not
question.
Today.
You got here 2 days ago, right?
Well, I woke up here about 2 days ago. I wandered over from the shop just to get my bearings, and I found the sword.
Didn't he say yesterday that he had been here for 2 days?
Yeah, I can't tell if he's just being loose with language or if he got his clock reset.
I would assume I'm being loose with language, because DM probably loses track of specific numbers I say.
Like, he knows yesterday happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then past that is
I have a question.
You know when you say the other day I did this, and it could be anywhere up to about 3 months ago.
Okay. Under the working assumption that this person is dead, could I make any sort of check to try to guess how many hit points they had while they were alive? Because if they're a commoner and they have 8 hit points, and one day they got brave and were like, "I think I'm the ruler of Guaso," and took 10 points of psychic damage and no one was around, did they gack themselves trying to pull this sword? I guess investigation. Can I make an investigation to see if that's reasonable? Or do they look too tough for that?
Well, how about mechanically we'll leave it as a thought experiment.
Okay.
But you think that Who knows?
All right, Jade, you're next.
I mean, but if I'm the ruler of Guassos and everyone will want to talk to me, and I am retired, which is short for I am very tired and do not want all the young people to be bothering me all the time. You know.
Well, I guess actually Willy actively didn't overhear that conversation. I was going to say something about, well, you wanted to plot a land for your daughter. What about a frickin' country? But he wouldn't know.
Too much, unstable. I did not. I'm a 25 years married sort of person. I did not want to be the ruler of Guasso. Absolutely not. I will, however, no one has to know that I am the ruler of Guasso. So as long as you guys agree not to tell anybody, I will test the sword.
All right.
Okay, I prepare to cry, and I walk over to the stone.
It's not a given. Don't prepare too much. Don't, get excited about it.
Oh my god. And I chalk my hands with a little bit of desert dust. Do a strength test, right?
Yeah, well, no need to roll. I didn't make the other two. Wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, I know. And I tug on the sword and I say, it's all secret if you agree.
Mm-hmm.
I pull on...
What... Jade, once you touch the sword's crossguard handle, however you want to hold it, you feel sort of a warmth spread through your fingers and a voice in your head that says...
Oh my gosh! It just... Oh no, I know what's happening. Oh no.
That says, Magatama, as I neither live nor breathe.
Oh no!
She doesn't remember her past lives, so she drops the sword.
Okay.
Aha, you're the ruler of Guasso.
Once you drop it, though, the sword does rise up of its own accord out of the stone, kind of getting up in your business a bit. And the voice does stay and goes, the years have not been kind to you. You look awful.
Oh, the sword is talking.
Wait a minute. How many years have passed? What year is this currently?
4959 something. I have to look it up.
Yes, that'll be it. 5,000 odd years ought to do that. You must be a descendant, past life, what a future life. How do those work? Anyway,
I am Kagome Chirikikyo.
I do not understand that reference, but yes.
Someone's pumping their fist out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should introduce myself. My name... by the way, the other two cannot hear this.
Oh, great.
So
do we see the sword floating, though?
You see the sword floating in front of Jade.
And I am crying. It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Willy's just doing that, slapping the person next to you's chest, pointing at the thing that clearly you both are looking at, but I'm like, are you seeing this?
Get your camera out, man. Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, man,
yes,
start painting.
Willy. I see it. I see.
Oh, man. I can't believe we know the ruler of Guasso.
So, back in Jade's mind. Go. I should probably introduce myself. My name is Maliokus. I was, how should we say? I was a companion to, I believe, one of your past lives. Her name was Magatama. She was a very feisty sword-wielding grandma.
Yes, it sounds kind
And it
of
was
like
my
me.
pleasure to deal death on her behalf.
I do like dealing death. I'm saying in my mind.
Then we should get
I was
on
gonna
like
say.
a house on fire.
No, we said we weren't doing that this time.
Speaking of, I mean,
dealing-
sorry, no, you go. It's been a while since I've been able to speak with someone, so the words just come out, you know?
This is okay. I'm getting deaf in my ears. So, I do like dealing death, and you're not going to tell anyone that you are this particular sword, right? I mean, once you're out of the stone, no one can tell, yeah?
Oh, you mean the thing about the ruler of Guasso? Oh, that was me just being funny with some of the people who found me a number of years ago. I told them that whoever could pull me out would be the ruler, but no, that was a clever lie. People kept trying to pull me out, and I would just give them headaches and insult them. It kept things fresh.
You sound very mischievous. Perhaps a bit of the law could straighten you out. We could become traveling companions if you would like an education in the legal system of Guasso.
Well, you are more than welcome to try.
And you could be the ruler of Guasso. I can measure things with you. 1 sword link, 2 sword links.
Well, as long as you don't mind stabbing me in people occasionally or setting things on fire, I think we can come to some sort of partnership.
Yes,
much as I did with your previous self.
I do not know if I believe that, but let's test this out. And I'm going to Searing Smite, the stone that the sword came from.
Okay.
Okay. I actually don't smite many things, so I gotta look this up. Ooh. Jade can cast 1 second level Searing Smite per long rest for free from the Legacy of Avernus. It's a creature attack, so I'm aiming for a spider. Sorry, Willy.
Whoa.
Scorpion.
What?
Aiming for a scorpion.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
just like attacking a spider's cousin.
They eat spiders, right?
I don't know. Spiders eat spiders, man.
Simmond also has opinions about attacking innocent scorpions.
Hey, why don't you just do it to me? I
Because
recover hit points. Well, oh, hey, watch yourself now, miss. It's almost like a greater being has designed me to be virtually unkillable.
Do you just want to destroy this stone?
Yeah.
Oh.
And become partners with the Searing Smite. Yeah. All right. So DM, it's some damage. I don't care. I'm taking out the scorpion.
Yeah. I'm cool. I'll let you just do it through the stone if you want. Because
I don't want to hurt
did.
you, Willy. Willy looks so offended. I'm not hurting him.
Well, no, I was just going to take a Sharpie a Blarpie and draw a mean face on the rock, thus turning it into a creature.
It's a pet rock now.
Yeah, it's my familiar.
Yeah, I mean, golems are a thing.
Yeah. All right. So just to be like, okay, Maliokas, let's try this out. And I hope you can withstand fire.
Withstand fire, my dear. I produce it. And as such, the sword bursts into flames of its own accord.
Ooh.
Sweet. And then the
You're
rock
gonna
is
need to get a
now.
stat block later.
The rock is now on fire.
Woo.
We don't need no water.
Well, I must say it is good to be doing that sort of swinging and hitting again. It has been quite some time, but there is something I should mention. All here is not quite what it seems.
Are you undead too?
Well, I have been here for the past, maybe a century and a half. Who knows? Who knows how time goes? Sorry, I didn't mean to rhyme. But let me just tell you that this place is abandoned for a reason. And with that, we will call it for this first half of this episode of the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. Thank you for joining us. We will be back in a short while. Go get yourself some ice cream. Why not? Your choice of flavor.
Review?
And, well,
Oh,
do you do an ice cream review? Yes, I think we can do an ice cream review, can't we?
ice cream
Was it-
review, real quick.
Yeah,
Big
go
fan
for it.
of Rocky Road. Pretty good. Lots of stuff going on there. But for a review that's slightly more on topic for podcast, I have the pleasure of reviewing Twilight 96. They were kind enough to say, great podcast. Memorable characters and the dynamics between each other are great. Especially love some of the goofier characters like Wing, Nugget, Balpator. So many lovable goofballs. 5 stars.
Lovely. So if you too want to leave us some nice things to say, then go on your podcast provider of choice, leave a nice review, and we'll read it out loud. Once again, the offer is open to specifying an accent or a voice. Proficiency not guaranteed.
Non-proficiency almost assured.
Oh, yeah, also that. But for now, though, we'll leave you in the capable hands of whatever happens in between the halves. But for this half, we were joined by Willy,
Willy.
Simmond,
Au revoir.
and definitely not the new ruler of Guaso, Jade.
Swoosh! I'm swinging the sword around. It's on fire. It's crackling. And my eyes are reflecting the flames.
Whoa, Jade, whoa.
Bye.
We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. This episode's shout out is from Garden Goddess 96, who says, quote, French pastry is absolutely accessible to anyone willing to follow the right tips with patience and passion. Take your new hobby to the next level of fun and boldness by bringing fans into your kitchen with Madeline's Academy, your new online French pastry school. End quote. Can you think of someone who might enjoy this podcast? Please share it with them. Is their birthday coming up? A special day? We can wish them a happy message on your behalf. You can arrange for us to read your shout out on air at firebreathingkittenspodcast.com through our partnership with the website Buy Me a Coffee. Do you enjoy reading books? You can find ebooks, paperbacks, and hardcover novels based on our adventures on Amazon.com. The authors do a great job of adapting the stories into fun novels. We also have official merchandise on Redbubble.com. Imagine owning a notebook with the Fire Breathing Kittens logo on the front, or a t-shirt with one of your favorite characters. Lastly, we don't pay to advertise our show, so the only way we can grow is if you tell someone about us. Is there an episode that would make that person smile? Tell them about it. Thank you.
No, oh my god, I'm being a good boy. Everyone stop riffing.
I know.
Welcome back to the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. Thanks for coming back. We'll shoot through this recap because everyone's in a bit of a weird mood at the moment. However, last time in the first half, our adventurers arrived at a seemingly abandoned Wild West sort of a town with only one occupant, a shopkeeper with memory problems, who turn out somehow to be undead. Meanwhile, at night, there are some ghost rider types who come in from the sky to try and take him away for reasons as yet unknown. So far, our erstwhile party have travelled over to the saloon in which Jade has been reunited with a friend from another lifetime, Malleocus, a sentient sword, who is a bit of a bastard sword. I have to put that in, therefore it's fine. And that is more or less where we've left it. There have been some fun shenanigans, and hopefully some more coming up now. So, team, gang, what have you?
Wasn't the sword about to tell us something?
Yes, he was. We left it on a rather juicy cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Willy has pulled out his sword. He's just feeling like very lightly competitive, where he's like, yeah, I have a magic sword too.
Yeah. Is your sword sentient as well?
I don't know, DM. Is it? Up until this moment, it has not spoken to me, but I don't think I've ever tried talking to it. So I
tried talking to your sword. What even are you doing?
I don't know, man. I'm messing up. So I knock on my chest because that's where my sword lives, and I just kind of like whisper and think down, like, "Hey, do you talk? Do you know this sword?"
I think even if it were sentient, it wouldn't know.
All right, cool. That's cool. You don't have to talk. I love you.
It can be sentient to you if you want.
Oh, I don't know. No.
It might not be sentient in the normal sense, but if you feel like it has a personality, then feel free.
Yeah, my sword's definitely a little sassy, but beyond that,
It's a fun little It's how do you determine in a magical world? Is it magic? Is it schizophrenia?
Willy canonically has multiple spirits living inside of his head and body. So, like, yeah, maybe the sword's just getting lost in the clamor. But go on. I want to hear about why this town is funky.
Okay, so how about we say that because Maliokas only really talks to Jade, everything he says will be relayed to the other two.
That is up to Jade.
I repeat everything
Jade.
word for word.
Okay.
Okay.
I politely pause whenever there's a swear word in the quote I'm making, leaving a space.
Willy starts treating it like Mad Libs and yelling out swears.
And Simmond starts clapping his hand over Willy's mouth. He puts his hand over his mouth and then he pulls his head against his chest and strokes his head and goes, there, it's okay.
Willy stops doing it after the first time because he immediately realizes he wants to cry and then remembers that he can't and then just freezes up.
So this town, actually, what was your name? I never asked.
The town is named Noel and my name is...
No, I meant your name.
This
I
is
knew you was
Jade.
Magatama, but I don't think I ever
I am
actually
Jade.
asked.
I think
She
you
says
nailed it
good
just now.
morning and that she is Jade.
I love him.
Okay, I
love
think
him
I heard the word
Alice.
Jade from...
Hey, I love him being a paladin. Give me a pizza pie. I'm Jade.
She's French, not
Better not
Italian.
break no laws.
She wants a croissant. I'm sorry, we are very unfocused today.
I'm
You were
sorry.
saying.
It's fine.
My perfect Jade impression. I had to bust it out.
Honestly, I was just waiting for someone to say the word bagel, and then we'd really kick off.
Bagel?
Bagel.
Bagel.
Hey, who said something about bagels?
Bagel? The Pokemon?
Oh God, no, not the bagel. Don't. Willy has a seizure.
Cream cheese goes slurp.
Oh God, no. Oh, no. We're getting
Chewing it with my dentures.
We are approaching maximum self-reference. The engines can't take any more. The podcast feeds will go out.
If you want to keep these lights on, tell us, Maliokas, what about this town?
We need plot to survive.
Some time ago, I cannot remember quite how long ago because time behaves differently. I fell through a rip in the universe and ended up here. I sat for some time. The town was full at that moment, which is when I gave them the impression that whoever drew me out would become ruler of Guaso. However, sometime afterwards, some kind of catastrophe happened. I would tell you more, but I was pointing the wrong direction and therefore could not see. I remember a lot of screaming and a lot of running and quite a few fireballs flying everywhere. But, yes, this town encountered some kind of reaping, as it may be said. And I get the feeling that this fellow over there may be tied to it somehow, but I do not know. I do not think even he knows, judging by his appearance.
In my head, I quietly ask you, Maliokas, so no one else can hear. I do not know if you can remember things. Do you remember this person, the shopkeeper, from before the annihilation? Were they a villager?
I mean, my memory is picky. Let's say some people I choose not to remember because they are boring. But this fella, he comes by every couple of days to try and pull me out. For, well, let's say maybe the last... let's be generous. Let's call it a century. Every couple of days comes by, tries to pull me out. I feed him a different insult every time. It's really the only thing I have to think about now is how to hurt him immensely.
That's like tens of thousands of insults.
Like I said, I've got a lot of time on my crossguard.
God, a true demon.
I do not know which is sadder. The person who is forced to think of insults all day or the person who can't remember them. Oh, is this
Oh,
so
don't worry.
sad?
I enjoy it.
Okay, well, I have some sword polishing grease here from my other swords, one that we will not talk about ever again. I feel like I just kind of like how you pat someone on the shoulder. I'm just patting grease onto the sword to polish it, and like you've been in Iraq a long time. I'm just gonna make you pretty.
Oh,
You're
I
pulsing.
do appreciate it.
And then the grease like mysteriously disappears into the sword. It like drinks it. Like you pulsing, and I add more grease.
Well, any time. I don't suppose there is some sort of bakery in town, is there? I could do with a thorough coating of cream cheese.
DM, did Alice send cream cheese with Jade?
Just do a roll for cream cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a roll for cream cheese. Hang on.
That does require you to understand how likely it is she would send cream cheese. Is
Well,
this a
considering
50-50?
Considering I just rolled a nat 20, there is
Got
cream
cream
cheese.
cheese.
There we go. The
And
dice tell
it's
a
the
story.
good kind of cream cheese as well.
Yeah, pre-whipped.
Whoa. Yeah.
You don't have to whip anything.
And now it is yours, Meliodas.
Oh, well, I do declare this is the best day I have had in a long time.
Willy gives a very confused look to Simmond.
You have just witnessed your friend rubbing cream cheese on a sword. I think
Like-
a strange look is warranted.
Pulls his sword out, lights on fire, starts swinging around the room, smiles, greases, applies cream cheese. Very strange. So what's going on, Jade?
It does like cream cheese. It does. Oh, hello. Yes. I think the sword is very sad. We should help it out. Why don't you try out your best insult on anime today? He failed, yes? I will share it with him.
Oh, well, you can tell him from me that he looks like...
Shopkeeper, my sword says that you look like a...
You know what? He looks so boring that I can't even think of anything that he looks like.
You look so boring that he cannot even think of what you look like, shopkeeper.
Oof.
Yes.
It sounds way meaner with a French accent. So we got that story relayed. So there was an annihilation. But there's still people who live here? Like you said, there was a functioning post office?
The shopkeeper will reply to this one because their accents are slightly vaguely similar. Well, I just drop off a letter in the post box, so I hope they take it.
Okay. Would you mind going back to the shop and preparing lunch? I'm sure everyone will be peckish soon. We're going to pen a few letters, and you just go back to the shop and make lunch. That would be so cool.
Of course not. I will see what I can dig up. And he will toddle off back to the curiosity shop, and that is where you will find him later on.
Cool. Oh, also I'm going to call for my mount. Margaret.
So you have to have the Margaret.
No, I just definitely knew the name before and didn't make it up on the spot. I was just
No,
make
of
sure to
course not.
say it slow so the weight of the name Margaret would come through.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, this ain't just Margaret. This is Margaret
Margaret.
with the hand
Margaret,
gesture.
come to me. And I call for her. And I just say, hey guys, this is Margaret. She's made of smoke, and I made her out of magic.
Hello, I am Jade. Why are you guys doing this to me?
Because it's fun. Let's see how many times we can get you to introduce people. I have more summons.
Great.
Simmond just holds out a gentle hand to Margaret.
Sables are really cute. If you haven't seen them, they look like a cross between like a bear cub and a weasel. And they got big, cute, like, paws. So you got big old paw and she's very nice. But is, like technically a fiend subtype, so she's sassy as well, just like my sword. No, but the point being, this guy is a very unreliable narrator, so I think it might be best for us to investigate this town on our own. He might be under the delusion that this town is more active than it seems, and I think a simple way of testing this theory is to see if there are a stack of letters in an untouched post box.
That is a great idea.
We know he has delusions. He thinks he's alive, and we think he's dead.
True.
Nobody? He had it coming.
He had it coming.
He only had himself to blame.
Ooh, I've started something.
If you'd have been there,
You would have seen it. All right.
maybe you would have done the same.
Now it's copyright. Jade, Willy, Simmond,
We're
Shopkeep.
very distractible today.
Yeah, we're
Go to
having
the
fun.
post office. That was a great idea.
Okay, but before anyone else has any further wild thoughts, you make your way over to the post office. It is at the top end of town, back towards the station. When you enter the post office door, every single building in this town has, the saloon doors because they're particularly pleasing to open and close, so they swing open, swing shut again. The first thing you notice as you go in is that it is completely empty, aside from dust coating pretty much every surface available. Aside from the floor, where you notice a lot of footprints, but upon further investigation, should you wish to, you would see that they are all pretty much identical. So it seems like the same pair of feet has just walked in and out of this a countless number of times. But also, as you just walk in, you'll see, all of you, as Willy suspected, there are not just piles, but whole bags filled with unsent letters. And digging around in one of the piles, you pull out a letter or two, and they are completely identical. They are the exact same letter, along the lines of, "I've woken up in a strange town. Please send help."
Willy shakes his head and goes, "He put them in bags, and he doesn't even remember."
Oh, there's so many letters here. I gotta clean this up. Yep, gotta help out. Put them in a bag.
Oh God, it's so deeply sad. We need the why. Proof of his death. Honestly, worst case scenario just frustrates him to aggression. We don't know how powerful of an undead he might be. If we wish to hasten this being's journey into whatever lies next for him, whether it be Wayne or Woe, which I think I've messed up on the first one. Anyway, we gotta figure out why this guy died.
I have a sneaking suspicion that I would like to address.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that this person was the Annihilation, and it's their guilt keeping them here.
Oh yeah, definitely could be
Okay.
the bad guy. That was, yeah.
So how do we get them to remember their guilt over what they've done to this town? Do we take them to the cemetery? Do we take them to places that got destroyed? What do we do?
We gotta put, I think we should put together a timeline and then walk him through it. And then, like when you lose your keys and they're like, retrace your steps. He lost his memories, so let's walk him through the day of the Annihilation.
Yeah, and either they were a hero who failed to save the town or the person who destroyed it.
Yeah, and then either way, DM gets to tell their whole story. So.
Yeah, we want that.
I also have a bit of an idea here as well. I'm just looking through my spells and seeing what I have, what's possible. I do have commune with nature, which normally doesn't work in towns, but I'm not sure if this town is small enough that there's still plenty of access, because there's not a lot of concrete or anything. We're on the dirt.
He said that the area around the Store in the Stone was still really green and verdant. So there's definitely plants there you could talk to.
Yeah, so this is a 5th level divination. and it lets you gain information about the land within 3 miles and 3 facts of my choice. Some of the options here include information on powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead, as well as influence from other planes of existence.
I think that's definitely within the bounds of history of the town. If they're talking like you can detect where gods are, like asking a tree, like, hey, what happened the past 100 years, you know? I think that's a real smart one.
Yeah, because this is a little bit more than just the like talk with plants that I used to use, because that's just within the last day or two.
Yeah.
There's no time limit on commune with nature.
This is the big kid version.
And the only way the DM is going to go along with this is if you let some good storytelling happen. So how are you going to make it enticing to the DM?
I'm not sure.
Side note real quick, I got Dispel Magic and Remove Curse. So.
Me too.
All right, dope.
Yeah.
We double down. But, just juice it.
Magic.
I can remove magic the number of times of my charisma modifier per day. Like
Whoa.
Yeah, just for free. I'm a anti-magic paladin apparently.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought I was big shoes.
Well, don't worry. I got weaknesses. We call them stealth.
Oh, no, we're good. I mean, all my slots are slotted for offense, so I can't do much. I can juice some good skill checks if we need with my flashback, but...
Very cool. So, storytelling. So, you're communing with nature. How are we going to...
Well, I think at this point we could probably cue the DM in on the plan.
One more hook.
Well, do you want to do mine first, or do you want to do your thing first?
Could we do them at the same time? Like, get this person to try to meditate and remember, and at that point you commune with nature?
Sure.
I like Jade's plan of investigating like the cemetery and stuff like that, like the blast sites, while you're talking to plants. And then once we have our timeline, that's when we bring the guy out and we're like, hey, what was that show where they're like, this is your life? Like, you were a jerk.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wave the DM in. That's a great plan. We're going to go to the cemetery and commune with nature and then bring the guy in to reveal what we've learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll go with Jade, because you don't need any skill checks, you know. Like, you're just talking to plants.
We don't have to split up.
Oh, okay. My instinct is Scooby-Doo.
So, DM, we have a plan.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just going to smash everything together, and we're going to get the person, and we're going to the cemetery. Or anything that looks busted up. If there's not a cemetery, then a destroyed building, please.
Okay, yep, I can provide a destroyed building.
Oh, dang.
There are lots of those.
Well,
Luckily,
okay, so
there is one on the map. There is one on the map.
We were told of this annihilation, or what was the term?
Catastrophe, I think I said.
Catastrophe. We're looking for the sites where it looks like a catastrophe might have occurred.
Yeah. And we're bringing the shopkeeper.
Is there like a big, bomb site or something? Is there a big hole?
I've got a fun one, but I'll save that one for later for a suitably dramatic moment. But yes, somewhere out of town, there is in fact the ruins of a building. So after having a wander around, you make your way there, and this seems to be, you think, maybe the remnants of some sort of magical laboratory. So you've got old tables which have been thrown aside, lots of broken beakers and other like alchemical equipment.
How intact is the building? Is it like roof blown out, or is it like there was a fire?
Yeah, there was like a big old fire. The roof was blown out. Only a couple of walls are still standing.
So like plants have grown into this space?
There's not a huge amount of plant life nearby, so there will be sand on quite a few different areas of the place.
How natural feeling.
What, the sand?
Yeah.
The place is not like concreted over, correct?
Not concreted, no.
Okay. Yeah, because it's nature, not just plants.
Yeah, nature is invading with the sand.
Cactuses.
Yeah,
cool.
a tumbleweed is in this room.
Yeah, there's a tumbleweed who looks at you funny. And he's like, what are you guys doing here?
Heal, Margaret. There's a dangerous tumbleweed about.
Hey, I asked you, what are you doing in my home?
Dear God. What are you doing living here?
Well, I just tumble in and out of the place. Whoever really knows what I'm doing, I just go from here to there, look dramatic in scenes, and do nothing else. No one really even knows what I am.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I have no idea what you are. Tumbleweed?
I kneel down and put a pair of googly eyes on it.
Jade, I was picturing just that, and I'm glad you did it. Tumbleweed, what do you know of this area?
Oh, of this area, I know quite a bit about what's going on. Obviously, like what you want to know?
What happened here? What destroyed this laboratory?
I'm not that old, you see. I've only been alive like a couple of days.
Well, get out of here then. I kick it in its little tumbleweed butt.
Boot the tumbleweed out of the room.
Ow!
Get out of here. We're trying to get focused.
I was say, let me take over here a little bit. So what we're doing is I'm casting the 5th level divination spell, Commune with Nature.
Oh, you don't need to. It's a talking tumbleweed.
No, get this tumbleweed out of here.
Not tumbleweeds, nature.
Yeah, all of nature. All of nature within 3 miles of here.
All right. Okay.
So I'm able to just tap into the landscape, all the nature within 3 miles, no time limit on this. And what it does, it allows me to determine information on a variety of subjects. Amongst those are information on undead within the area, influence from other planes of existence. So I'm just going to tap into the natural history of a 3-mile radius from here and see what happened here. What was this cataclysm? Who is this undead? Anything that's happened in the natural world at any time within 3 miles of here is information I am privy to.
Okay. So
I know that's a lot.
Yeah, I'll try and cut it down for bite-sized chunks. So in the immediate area, as also evidenced by your eyes, you can sense that a lot of the nature around this building was scorched some time ago due to an enormous blast. But a little bit wider out, you can feel that the area was affected by, a giant rip in the fabric of the world, and that there was some interference by other planes certainly going on. Do you have any sort of radar for that? Because I know with Detect Magic we like to have it as a sort of a radar kind of ping. Do you get a directional sense, or is it just a holistic?
It's very open.
Altogether. Very open. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a reason it's a 5th level spell.
Otherwise, I mean, you get a you get a weird sense of anger from the tumbleweed who's just been kicked as well.
Okay.
See, what else would have been affected nature-wise?
Well, I mean, I think it also tells me anything.
You definitely get a sense of the natural food chain was upset in the sense that it was uprooted and wiped out.
Well, you do get 3 questions. So.
Yeah, so far I'm only really selecting 2. So it gives you kind of holistic information, not just what's influenced, because it doesn't say it's limited to what is influencing the natural world. For example, I would think if anything happened for people walking on the ground remembers. This is a very open spell. So for now, I want to know the backstory on this undead shopkeeper and any influence that might have come from another plane of existence. What happened during that event. So my 2 questions so far.
Okay. 1 second.
Yeah, give us the juice.
This spell might be a little bit game-breaking for a mystery.
Well, when tastefully done, It took us a while before we realized this is the question that we needed to ask.
I show up to new places and I commune with nature to see what happened 100 years ago all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my go-to. I'm just hey, plants, what happened?
Hey, 100 years ago, was there a catastrophe here?
Hey, this town sucks. Why?
Earth, tell me.
Mother Gaia, why does it suck? My child, shut
So
up.
I'm having a look at Commune with Nature.
Yes.
It very much reads as a what rather than a why.
Oh?
So some of the stuff it lists as, it says, you instinctively gain knowledge of up to 3 facts of your choice about any of the following subjects as they relate to the area. So like terrains and bodies of water, like plants, minerals, animals, or peoples. It like powerful beings. It seems to suggest rather than a like what's the dealio with them, it's more like a are there any?
Oh. Well, you are the DM. It is your ruling.
I mean, it does also specifically say the spell doesn't function where nature has been replaced by construction, such as in dungeons and towns.
Exactly. That's why I was asking if we're still...
So,
How many walls make a building? Minecraft says you need a roof.
so yeah, I'm good with giving you like the holistic general idea of like what's going on because it has affected this like surrounding nature like an area.
Okay. All right.
Do you think we could determine the nature of the explosion? Was it a spell gone wrong or
It was
like
very
pollution?
much magical in nature.
Like a factory explosion or somebody sucks at magic? Like maybe combined with like an investigation check of what we're looking at the remains of this building. Like what was this an accident and this guy is trapped or is he a bag? We're just trying to figure out if this guy's a frickin' dink or not.
And
Well-
after you do that, I have a question.
You got something? Because I'm just on a wing right now. You go.
Let's see what the DM does, and then I'll...
Okay. Well, feel free to give me an investigation roll for finding useful things because that's kind of what it's for.
Ooh. Hey, I'll take a 19.
Okay, yes. 19. What you would find, because, you know, it is ruin, you kind of have to scrape sand off all sorts of things. You find a couple of interesting bits and bobs. You find some old journal scraps, which reference a certain level of magical research, specifically into trying to rid the town of this unnamed menace. It also mentions the specific need for face coverings to avoid breathing in certain substances. And also you find in just one corner of the shop, you find like an old metal sign, which is luckily not rusted due to the lack of water in the surrounding area, which simply reads Von Erden Magical Artifacts Incorporated.
Willy, what did you do?
What the heck? Willy's staring because he's never met his parents or any family members. To his knowledge, they were just basically snakes in a swamp. He has never used his full name before. He's literally was called the vessel for the king up until he ran away and then went into a bay and then chose the name Willy because it was, something that was new. So he's just truly dumbfounded. He doesn't have eyes that can express things, but his brows are deeply furrowed. And just you see, he was I was gonna make a joke when he found the writings nerds are here, and then casually looks over and sees the sign and then just stops, pun semi-intended, dead in his tracks.
Meanwhile, Jade, Maliokus sends a thought to you along the lines of just saying, I'm not sure whether you are of the magical persuasion there, but I feel something going on beneath my point, if that makes sense. Something going on beneath the ground.
Thank you for pointing that out. So, that was a pun on sword points. I would like to do an insight check on the shopkeeper because
he's at the curiosity shop.
oh no, we brought him with us.
No, Willy sent him to go make breakfast.
I did, and then I wanted to wait to bring him back.
Okay.
Remember, Jade said that she grabbed him, because I was like, should I interrupt? No, I'm not going to. We'll just roll with it. So, I do think Jade said that she brought him with us.
Although if the DM doesn't want that, that's okay.
I don't remember that happening. If that was something you mentioned when I
might have
was
been glanced over. No,
there,
it's okay. He's not here. That's fine. All right. Well then.
I mean, you can go and get him if you want.
No, it's fine.
It's about like a 5-minute walk.
It's okay. I just tell my friends, is this all that's pointed at, or is it is always something magical on their feet?
Willy pulls his smoking pits, almost like hard to pull his smoking pits away from the sign. And goes like, yes, let's look for a staircase. There must be something here.
Searching for secret levers and traps and hidden cellars? Can I do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe it shouldn't be me who does this search.
You can all do it. In these sorts of things, you wouldn't necessarily just go, all right, Jade, you do it. We'll just stand around.
Everyone, would you like to search for a way into the ground?
Investigation or perception?
Whichever one you're most comfortable with.
Let's see which one.
12 perception.
I'll take a 21 perception.
16 perception.
Okay, yeah. You're all scrabbling around trying to find secret doors and passages and trapdoors and all sorts of the like, but Willy gets there first. You find a trapdoor hidden beneath an old, very thick, very dusty rug. And you pull it open, and there is a ladder which goes down into an area which must have been you've got the face of the laboratory, but this is like the proper, interesting, proper dangerous stuff that goes down in there. So you've got big vats of bubbly liquid and some old glass jars which have weird things floating in them. And once again, there's another sign on the wall which, it's a lot cleaner than the other one. It still says Von Erden Magical Artifacts Incorporated.
That's a frickin' name again.
But because this place being underground is a lot better kept than the rest of the town, and it looks like a bit of a departure because it's not really Wild West themed. It's much more classic, sci-fi potion-y stuff. And there are some full lab reports ready to read on a couple of benches. There's some journals type things. There's a couple of beds in the corner. Whatever you could want for some people holding down to do some serious science. It's less magic.
Willy's going to cross to one of the beds and sit down. And I bought this item as a joke, but I'm really glad he pulls out his smoke monster pipe and just sits down and starts smoking a pipe, thinking deeply. And as he exhales, all the smoke turns into cool little spooky monsters. But, this is a lot for him. So, you guys take lead.
Simmond is going to read the journals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is up with... I don't even want to call him family. That's kind of what's going through his head. Is I don't know the term to reference the Von Erdens in relationship to me.
Okay, yeah, so these journals, they're kind of mixed in with the lab reports. They very much run concurrently. So having a scan through, they do seem to detail this catastrophe as it happened. So the people taking this obviously lived through it for a certain length of time. So it details how a rip in the sky just opened one day, and through it flew a number of strange creatures that no one had ever seen before. around the same point as that giant stone archway by the saloon was. And it details how the townsfolk didn't really know what to do at first. They just obviously panicked for a start. So some tried to escape because the monster started attacking people. And weirdly enough, some of the reports even detailed some townsfolk changing into these creatures. But the important thing that it tended to mention was that to avoid that, you needed to cover your face with some sort of cloth to stop breathing in what they think was some sort of magical dust.
Oh, frick a dick. Oh, wait.
However, when you're getting towards the end of the journals, you read some very specific language which says, "My brothers and I have come up with a solution. We know that this monstrosity is too dangerous to be left to wander. That's why we're going to seal the town from all people. No one will be able to enter. No one will be able to leave. However, we need more time to develop a proper solution. And it is with a heavy heart that we have decided to sacrifice our humanity in order to defeat this presence." Wilbur is sorting the components of the spell right now. He's working in the other room. Percival is sorting out the incantation itself. And Franklin is locating suitable objects to use as phylacteries. This will not be pleasant for any of us, but if we can save the world from these moths, then I think it's worth it. Hope no one may hear of the Von Erdens and their sacrifice, but hopefully being a lich is not all it's cracked up to be.
And just dead boy Willy, as you guys are reading this, is like across the room, kind of like occasionally glancing up, like too afraid to ask, like, what are you reading? And am I even like supposed to care? Like, but just glancing at you.
We've got some very thoughtful players.
So it seems like, I mean, I may be reading this wrong, but it seems like Willy, this is his backstory. But then that doesn't quite make sense because there are already 3 Ghost Riders.
Oh no! Were those
I think their names are Wilbur, Percival, and Franklin.
Okay, so Wilbur is not Willy. Maybe Willy is their son?
It might just be a distant relative, because this was like, if this was 100 years ago, that's like 2 generations.
We don't know how old you are.
Oh, that's right. I really don't know how old I am.
You did.
I didn't see a clock until I think I was 19. What was the birthday I just celebrated?
When were you 19?
Yeah. Was I ever 19? But again, this is kind of why, like, this is really fun for me as a player. Willy doesn't know any of this stuff. That's why I didn't want to read the... So what do you this is up to you guys. You just read, a potential backstory for this weird fish boy.
I don't have any reason to think that this information would be distressing to Willy, so I share it.
Okay, so after, like, you get, like, halfway through the explanation, and then Willy would probably take the books from your hands, like, splay them out on a table, and, just, again, is, like, confused on how to feel about this. And then I guess he would, after, like, a long, silent minute, "Do you believe in destiny?"
I believe in the statistical averages that eventually you will get to a significant place if you live long enough.
Well, how is it that those who share a biological bloodline, but completely removed by generations, distance, and any sort of familial connections, would all end up as undead beings working towards a greater good? what? And he kind of gets a little mad. Willy doesn't get mad too often. Willy doesn't feel too often. He kind of like brushes the books onto the floor and goes, What is this? What is this? And he kind of like an angry 20-year-old boy kind of starts freaking out a little bit.
Do you believe in a genetic predisposition towards being undead?
I don't know, am I supposed to? Is that a thing? How magic is this world? And he kicks a stool.
You remind me a bit of myself when I was your age. I, too, was concerned that free will was merely an illusion and that where we are born in the world and who we are born to determines our priorities, our goals, and our ethic systems. And, if you have a cousin you have never met and you meet them as they have ended up in the same job field as you, did you really choose your job field or were you born to it? It's a good question. If your parents are completely evil and they, enjoy tormenting and torturing other people, does that mean that you also have to be evil? I mean, if your biological ancestors were undead protecting a town, does that mean that it is not your choice? That you have no free will? And, it's a good question. Can I ever truly stop being chaotic evil and truly be lawful good? I do not know, but I do know that you choose what you do, Willy. You choose each action and each day. Maybe there is no such thing as free will after all. Maybe it's just a lie that you are making your best choices and best options. But you can try.
As these, words ring in Willy's ears, he feels the king of all creation stirring in his chest. And, he's been getting more and more in touch with the king. And, viewing him and himself in, a different light. Like I said in the very top of the episode, Willy's rebranding. And, he feels a sense of comfort in both Jade's words about, making your own decisions and having this supposed being inside of him that is the embodiment of making decisions. And, he calms down, picks up the stool he kicked, starts putting the journals, together on the table, and then eventually just binds them together and puts them in his bag. Thank you. Sorry for getting emotional. I'm not very used to it.
You're allowed to be emotional. The idea is that everything you have chosen was chosen for you, predetermined before you ever made the decision is a bit upsetting. And I disagree with this notion. I think that perhaps that's what's intended for us. Good luck. Try to control me. I'm going to be a lawful paladin.
I suppose.
And 25, 27 years later, have you achieved what you intended to do? I am a happily married woman. I'm retired from the town guard. I think, yes, the results would say that you can choose your own path.
As, Willy, is kind of, motioning for us to, let's go deal with this dead guy. He's, walking up the stairs and kind of looks back with his shark tooth smile at Jade and goes, I did meet a girl at the tattoo shop the other day.
Yes, choose your path, And if you happen to want to protect the town or do something nice, you know what I always say, if the law says to do it, do it.
Willy,
I don't know about that.
Willy, before we have a quick change of scenery, when you put the journal back into your bag, you do notice just a small little something, because it does seem to have been a joint journal between the people working down here. But that final entry was signed off by, the handwriting is a bit difficult to read, but you think it says Dietrich.
Dietrich. There's a fourth one. Oh, no. Oh, no. No.
We go and get the shopkeeper.
Wonder what
is it the shopkeeper?
Yeah, wonder what
is Willy.
No, I don't think it was me. I think the shopkeeper is related to... Oh my goodness.
I'd like to bring the shopkeeper back to the basement and see if I can jog some memories.
Yeah, okay. You want to go grab him?
Yeah. Oh, thank you
Okay,
for lunch. You know, it looks very good, and I hand it to my friends without eating any.
Oh, well, he couldn't really find... There wasn't a lot of food around the place. There was a lot of melted ice cream, apparently, in some old crates. So it's all quite disappointing, quite dry, quite dusty.
This looks fantastic. I hand it to my friends. It is not food.
Willy eats it anyway because he doesn't eat food either way. He is a billy goat.
Simmond, you know what
Yes.
I talked about before? I've brought the shopkeeper, yeah.
Oh,
And this laboratory basement.
we talked about communing with nature, but that didn't reveal a whole lot.
Okay, I'll remember for us. It was a logbook, shopkeeper. Does it feel familiar in your hands?
Hang on, sorry, what's going on?
I'm having
Oh,
Willy
no,
I
has
was blanked
not
out for
me.
a second.
I see what you're going for. The plan of walking him through his day and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
Oh
found
yeah, having him
him.
meditate.
I think I can do this myself.
Good. Here's a logbook. Bye. I'm going to be upstairs pondering whether or not I have free will and lighting my sword on fire.
I have to go call Alice.
I think
You've
I have
also
free
got a
will.
box to go and drop random things into.
Yeah.
Alice, does my life have meaning? Honey, are you out of ice cream?
Yes.
Woman, I am your meaning.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what?
Am I evil?
Oh, it's one of those you're
Am I
having
really
one of those
alive,
days.
or am I just controlled by some higher being?
Oof, okay, now we're good.
Every
The
decision I make
kaleidoscope.
just feels like a roll of the dice.
It's turtles all the way down. Okay, once I have the room, I'm just going to, give a dramatic pause, look him dead in the eye. Diedrich von Odin.
His eyes just... You know when you've been looking for a word, you've forgotten, a specific word, which means something, your brain just, fuzzes up, and then once it comes to you, everything just clears and your eyes go wide. That's what happens to him.
I
His
keep
eyes just
going.
go pop.
As I see them pop, I'm gonna keep this Jiffy Pop on the stove. I don't know if that reference goes across the pond, but
Wow. Stove cooked popcorn.
yeah. You and your family, Wilbur, Percival, and Franklin von Erden, gave your mortal souls and became undying beings in order to save this town and perhaps this very realm from the incursion of terrible moths. For some reason you have forgotten this, and I think your brothers are calling you home each night. You send letters to the postmail asking for help, as you've done so for decades upon decades. But that time is done. I am your descendant, and your family calls you home.
Diedrich. Yes, that was my name. I lived in this town so long ago. Then the terror in the sky. They came through the moth creatures. They started killing everybody, and I sent my partner away, my Wilhelmina, and our newborn boy.
The look on his face. He's clutching his heart.
They said I was crazy for partnering up with your auntie, but I just like the way she slithered. That's all.
For the listeners, the DM is perched on my chest, ripping my rib cage apart and pulling at my internal organs.
I sent them away to be safe, and I hoped they would make it out. Maybe that's what kept me sane all these years. The knowledge that they could have made it out. My brothers, after a while they went mad. They lost their minds, riding in the sky every night. maybe they want to die too. We need their
Dietrich.
phylacteries, don't we?
Yeah.
I think I know where they may be, but we need a key to unlock it. There was a ring, a family ring we used to have, which we must have used to lock the safe, so that only one of us could be able to finish it. I don't know where that might have been though.
Willy bites his chomps down on his teeth, gritting him slightly, thinking about that conversation about destiny, and slips the ring off of his finger, like a ring that he just found in the desert and impulsively put on of himself. Says, "Does it look like this? Does it look like this?"
Yes, that is it. And then he looks between you and between the ring and you, and goes, "Revellion von Erden, is it?"
Yeah.
You did make it out. They all did. I mean, I don't know how many generations there are in between you and them, but I hope they were happy.
Willy feels just a thunderstorm of emotions, but he reaches out, hugs Diedrich, I think is what he's going to call him, and just says softly, They are.
In
Now
that
let's
case,
get you to the afterlife.
I think I've waited long enough.
Yeah, stop putzing around, old man. And he gently ribs him.
You hear a snap.
Yeah, no, you don't have much time. Come on, bud. And then I'll hustle upstairs.
Oh, hey, how'd it go?
Simmond, you are currently muted.
Oh, hey, how'd it go?
Oh, was Simmond just waiting upstairs? Oh yeah, of course, because you were by yourself, weren't you?
Yeah. He'll use two of his charges a message to message both of them. I think I just met my dad, or my I don't know. His name is Diedrich, and you can't see Willy smile, or I guess you do. You do see as the message comes across, he's not saying anything, but his face sort of turns into a smile. Now let's go kill my family.
Okay.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah.
So Dietrich,
lead the way.
Dietrich leads you back to the curiosity shop, and on one of the tables in there is just a big black box, and he says, "Well, they may be in here. It's what we called a safe of safety. It's practically unopenable, aside from the right object. So if it's going to be anywhere, they'll be in here." And he will hold up the ring and place it on top of the box, and it slides open, and within it are 4 effectively urns, each one engraved with initials. So you have a W, a P, an F, and a D, all of them with a VU.
All right. Well, let's do the damn thing. Can all of this have taken up until when the riders normally come at night?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So we'll say maybe we have to kill 10 minutes, but I'm out waiting in front with the urns lined up on the ground. And I guess waiting for my maybe uncles to show up. Somewhere between uncle and great uncle.
So yeah, you spend however long it is until sunset, just whiling away the time. Maybe, Willy, maybe you're just trying to find out a bit more about.
I don't think Willy wants that.
You're not?
He has so much anger
you spend
in
the
his
time
heart.
talking about that spider in the corner again.
He is so afraid of this meeting going sour that he just is quietly waiting to kill his maybe dad. And Willy has spent so many hours watching spiders. Like, sharing that with your maybe papa. Like, that is a good enough day for Willy. One pure good memory. Yeah, and then when they show up, Willy just waves and is gonna cast Summon Shadow Spawn to summon a bunch of little tiny wraiths. Whereas, like, his dark magic comes out of him just so everybody can, like, go together and go at the exact same moment instead of having to smash urns one at a row. Like, that seems kind of weird. But, yeah, I don't hug my potential papa, but I do, like, pat him on the back, and, like, you know, I like being a little bit of a baby psychopomp, ferrying people to the dead, and I go hang out with your brothers. And in that moment, when I see them go together, I destroy the phylacteries, throw in a dispel magic, remove curse, like, truly scatter them to the desert winds.
We'll give them a quick moment before that happens, though, so they can, you know, say hi.
Oh, yeah, do an epilogue, but that's what Willy... I ready in action.
Yeah. So in those few moments, Dietrich walks over to the other three who have gotten off their horses. The horses kind of dispel into nothingness. They seem to know what's going on. And he looks at them and just says, "Brothers?" And they give him a nod back. And then that front one you were talking to earlier, Willy, just looks over at you and says, "The oldest and the only."
Family. Or death. One of the two. I hope it's family.
Same thing, though, isn't it?
Tell me about it, Unc.
But Dietrich takes one look back at you and just says, "Thank you, son."
Oh shit, you are my dad. And then, like, I've already activated the spells, and then...
He goes, "Wait, no.
Yeah. Wait, no, I love you now.
So all the phylacteries are destroyed by your magic, and they all just crumble into dust, merging with each other on the wind as they blow out of town, rather annoying a tumbleweed as it tries to cross the road.
Poor tumbleweed.
Frickin' tumbleweed.
The tumbleweed is the real victim.
It's already got a hard
life. I look back at my party members as I'm sure they clearly heard the "thanks, son," and I just say, "Happy birthday to me."
And with that, I think that's probably quite a nice moment to end the episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks, players, for playing along. Next week, I'm sure, is going to be another doozy, so listen out for that. If you want to leave a review, please do on any podcast platform of your choice, and we will scrape the bottom of the barrel for all the nice ones. But for the time being, let's sing a big... Wait, we say howdy for hello. What's goodbye in cowboy?
Y'all come back now, you hear?
That's the one. So from Willy.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
From Jade.
Just like they had the ghost horse, you even had Margaret the Sable. What is free will?
There is no free will. We are just repetitions of patterns, which are beautiful reverberations of the fucking droplets that make up the universe.
From Simmond.
Stay safe now, y'all.
And from me. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Julianne Arney, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and host of the Cultivative Conversation podcast. Join me as I engage listeners in conversation about mental health related topics and use questions designed to assist with exploring things of gratitude, nostalgia, sharing, and learning, to normalize mental hygiene, and to invoke togetherness and intimacy through conversation. I hope to talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Todd Van Allen, award-winning comedian and podcaster and host of the Comedy Above the Pub podcast. For over 15 years, my producer Darcy and I have talked to comedians, musicians, actors, politicians, a doctor even turned up in there for some reason. But all of our guests have one thing in common. They all have a funny story to tell. So listen to Cat P for free wherever you get your podcasts, or for full video episodes and bonus content every week, go to patreon.com/CATP podcast. When you listen to Cat P, you're in for a good time.